Hello, I'm meteorologist Jordan Scheifler. Thanks so much for joining Midwest Weather Network. This week, we are going to be looking at probably a little bit of some rainfall, especially into midweek, with a possible severe weather threat as we head into the weekend. As we take a look at our current satellite radar, we do see a little bit of that cloud cover, especially into Illinois, Wisconsin, and over down to Missouri. But sunshine really for the most of the rest of the part of the area. Here's a look at our upper wave pattern at the current moment with our GFS model. We can see a low pressure system that's currently out towards Oregon. This is the system that we're going to have to be watching because this is what's going to be entering into the area as we head into late week. But for the current moment, we're looking at the high pressure system right down off the coast of right near Texas currently. That's what's bringing in some of those above normal conditions that we've been seeing and some of the clearing out towards Ohio and up into the other regions. Now, as we head into the weekend, we can start seeing this system right here start to move through. It's currently right over the Utah region. Then as we head into the weekend, it moves into the Dakotas, and then we see that system continually move across the area. Now, as we take a look at our composite reflectivity, we can see that this system is going to be bringing in a line of thunderstorms into the weekend, especially right into Saturday. That's where we're going to see that severe weather threat, Missouri into Illinois, and that line is going to continue off towards the east as we head into the weekend, ending off into Monday, leaving in some colder air right behind it. So it's going to be feeling quite fall-like heading into the start of next week, so quite different than what we're seeing currently at the moment. Here's a look at those temperatures. We see those above normal conditions across the area, but then as we head into the late part of the week, we can see that front system start to move through, leaving in some fall-like temperatures in its wake. We can see those temperatures rising only up into the upper 60s across Nebraska area, also heading up into Minnesota. And then as we head into the weekend, we can see those temperatures are left off a little bit cooler than what we started off with. Now let's take it state by state. First off, let's look at Ohio. Taking a look at those temperatures, we can see those temperatures are getting up into around the 70s over the next couple days. We're looking at 74 degrees by Wednesday, then heading into Thursday, we can see those temperatures start to drop off little bit by little bit as we see the next low pressure system start to move into the area. We can see that fully come in by the weekend with temperatures slightly warm back up into those upper 70s before a steep drop off back into those lower 60s to end off the weekend. Here's a look at that composite reflectivity. It's going to be a mostly dry week for the most part, maybe a few scattered showers as we head into Wednesday, and then things dry up once again. We should be looking at mostly sunny skies for the most part, and then as we head into the weekend, that's when we start seeing that front system start to move through. Saturday into Sunday, we're going to be looking at some rainfall. Now, how much rain are we going to be talking about? Here's a look at the total precipitation that we could be looking at. This is still using the GFS model. We can see that nothing pretty much for the most of the week until Saturday, and then we see that line of storms start moving through. We could be talking about close to 2 inches possibly up near Cleveland, closer to an inch near in Columbus, and then some lower values towards Chillicothe around almost a quarter of an inch. Findlay area, we're talking about 0.4 inches. So definitely a good amount of moisture with this system. I know Ohio has been dealing with a good amount of drought conditions across the area that's been expanding over the last couple months. Now, Indiana, very similar to what we were seeing in Ohio, where though we see those temperatures above normal for this time of year, upper 70s over the next couple days. And then as we start heading in to the weekend, that's when we'll start noticing those changes. Temperatures do start to rise back up very briefly ahead of that system moving through. And then once that system passes through, it's going to be leaving some colder temperatures in its wake, where we should be seeing close to average conditions returning into the area as we head into the start of next week. Now, here's a look at our composite reflectivity for Indiana. We could be seeing some scattered showers over the next couple of days, but nothing too major. We're not going to be seeing that frontal system start moving in till around Friday into Saturday. We can see probably around 7 a.m. on Saturday, we'll start seeing those showers start to move through, with majority of the rain happening for the most part of the afternoon, and then it should move across the area by late Saturday into early Sunday morning. That will leave off dry conditions to end off the weekend. Now, Illinois, very similar temperatures. in those upper 70s above normal for this time of year. And those temperatures will continue to be above normal over these next couple days. And as we head towards the weekend, we see that low pressure system move through. We see those temperatures briefly climb up ahead of that system before we see that cold front move through, dropping those temperatures back close to average to end off the weekend. We're talking about the mid 60s by Sunday, so around a 10-degree temperature difference than what we're seeing at the current moment. Now here's a look at some possible rain showers. We're probably going to be looking at maybe a little bit more rain showers than we were talking about Ohio and Indiana, but we'll see the remaining scattered showers over these next couple days. But the brunt of the shower chances are not going to be happening until around Friday into Saturday. We'll see that cold front move into the area probably around 6 p.m. on Friday, moving through, and then that continues into early Saturday morning. And then by the time we get into the afternoon on Saturday, the system should be past us, where we'll see colder temperatures in its wake, very much more like fall for this time of year. Now, how much rain are we talking about? Well, we could be looking at a good amount. So here, taking a look at that, we can see maybe a tenth of an inch with these scattered showers across the area, mostly in the northern parts of Illinois. But as we head into Saturday, we can see most of the rainfall is going to be more towards the south with this system, but we could be looking at maybe a quarter of an inch near Champaign. Chicago, we could be looking around a tenth of an inch. So, good amount of rain across the area with this system, but the most of the severe weather is actually be happening more towards the southern part of the state. Now for Missouri, we see those temperatures are actually climbing up into the lower 80s as we head into midweek. And that's going to be the trend as we head into the rest of the week, into late week. Before we see that system move through, we can see that frontal system moving across the area as we head into Saturday, dropping those temperatures around to the low 70s on Saturday. And then we're going to be talking about the lower 60s as we head into Sunday. So we're going to be seeing that steady drop back close to average for this time of year. Now, Missouri, we could be talking about some scattered showers over the next couple days. Still across the area, some cloudy skies as well. And then as we head into the week, things should start clearing back up ahead of that system. And then we start seeing the cold front start to move through, mostly scattered showers. We could be also talking about some severe weather, especially in the southern parts of Missouri. But around 6 p.m. on Friday, we will be seeing that front system move through across the area, continuing into the eastern part of the state into early Saturday morning, and then it moves out of the area by afternoon, clearing up, leaving those colder temperatures into the area. Now, the amount of rain over the next couple days could be around spotty. We're going to be looking at getting close to a tenth of an inch across the northern part into central parts of Missouri. Then as we look at the system coming through, we could be looking at those values getting close to 2 inches possibly into the southern parts of Missouri, and then into the western parts, not as much rain, but we could be talking about around a half an inch of rain. Northern parts, we're talking about a little bit more than a quarter of an inch, so still a good amount of rain across the area. Now for Iowa, we're talking about those lower 70s across the next couple days ahead of this system. And as we get closer to the system, we will be looking at the temperatures starting to drop back down. We're talking around the mid-60s on Saturday, and the temperatures continuing to drop into the low 60s by Sunday, clearing up after that system moves through. The main difference from all the other states is more scattered showers over these next couple days, especially in the northern parts. We could be looking at more heavier rain. And then as we get closer to the late part of the week, things do start to quiet down just a little bit. Still some scattered shower chances. And then as we head into the weekend, that's when we start seeing that front system. Not much rain with this compared to the rest of the states out towards the east, but we could be looking at some scattered showers. Be mostly a eastern Iowa event where we could be seeing some heavy rainfall. And then things do clear up as we head into the weekend, where we'll see those fall-like temperatures into the area. Now, the amount of rain that we're going to be talking about, we could be looking around a quarter of an inch across most of the state. A little bit less as we head towards the southwestern part of the state, more closer to not much rain at all. But for most of the state, we're looking at a good amount of rain. Some areas getting close to half an inch. Currently in Wisconsin, we are seeing those temperatures in the upper 60s, lower 70s in certain areas, and we'll actually see those temperatures actually slightly increase throughout the week, especially right ahead of that system moving through, with that warm sector providing some, looking at the mid to upper 70s across the state. But once the system passes through, we're going to be talking about some chilly temperatures. We're going to be seeing those temperatures drop, with some areas getting, it's going to be hard for them to even break out of the 40s, where we're going to see those low temperatures in the lower 30s. So we could be approaching freezing, so we could be looking at some possible frost across the northern parts of the state. So just something to be aware of. I'll probably want to be bringing in some of those plants if they are sensitive. And then we can see that continue to drop off into the start of the week. Currently, over these next couple of days, we could be looking at some possible rain showers, especially Tuesday. We could be looking at some widespread rain into the overnight hours, especially. But things should start clearing back up ahead of that cold front. Scattered showers Thursday and Friday, and then we'll see that system move through. It's not going to be as clear of a line, but we could be looking at some widespread rain into the later parts of Friday, and that continues scattered shower chances into Saturday and into Sunday. So it looks like that rain will be sticking around for a little bit longer in Wisconsin. Now, the amount of rain as we head into next week, we could be talking around an inch into the northern parts of Wisconsin. So definitely a good amount of rain with the system. As you get more south, we see those temperature trends more closer, precipitation trends more closer to a tenth of an inch across the area, getting closer to quarter of an inch, a little bit more as you get more towards the central part. Temperature trend for Minnesota, very similar to what Wisconsin. We're going to be looking at those around lower 60s across the area for the next couple days. Some possible rain showers as well into the early week. And then we'll actually see those temperatures climb up right ahead of this system, getting up to the lower 70s. But once this system passes through, it's going to be leaving some chilly air into the area. We're going to be talking about highs into the low to mid 50s by Sunday. Some areas getting only into the lower 40s. So definitely very chilly temperatures as we head into next week. Now, rain shower chances over Minnesota. We're going to be talking about some scattered showers, especially widespread rain. It looks like on Tuesday afternoon, around 3 p.m. or so. Throughout most of the day, things should start clearing up towards later week. Scattered showers are going to come back right before that system moves through. And then we can start seeing that line start to move through Minneapolis, probably around early morning Friday, heading into the afternoon. And then scattered showers are going to be continuing across the area into the weekend with that low pressure system actually be more centralized a little bit north to the state heading into Sunday and into Monday. Things do start to die down with those colder temperatures in the area. Now, the amount of precipitation we're going to be talking about is still going to be a good amount. We're going to be talking about some areas getting close to around an inch of rain, a little bit lower as you head more south. You'll be looking around still around a half an inch of rain to a quarter of an inch to a half an inch of rain down to the south, and just getting more as you head up to the north. Now, the Dakotas, we're going to be looking at those temperatures in the North Dakota into the lower 50s, lower 60s in the South Dakota. And we'll continue to see some of those temperatures actually climb up, especially in South Dakota, as ahead of that system moving through. Some areas getting into the low 80s. Going to feel a lot like summer towards the later part, but that won't last for long as that cold front will push through, dropping those temperatures back down, where we'll see temperatures getting up into the low 60s once again, and that continues into Monday as well, where some areas we can see lows up down into the lower 30s. The brunt of the precipitation is going to be mostly happening just throughout the week. Some widespread rain on Tuesday across the area, and then it dries up briefly for Wednesday with some scattered showers across the area, with another wave of widespread rain across the area into Friday. And then once that system moves out of the area, it actually dries up quite a bit as we head into the weekend, into Sunday and into Monday. So it should be making for some nice conditions across the area. For Nebraska, temperatures are going to end off by next week, very similar to what we're going to be looking at now. Temperatures across the area, low 60s, some high 50s over towards the western part of the state. Then as we head into the rest of the week, we can actually see temperatures start climbing up. We're going to be looking at the high 70s across the area, low 80s into the southeastern part of the state. And then as we get into the rest of the week, we see that cold front right as we head into Thursday into Friday, bringing in some colder temperatures back into the area, but not by much, because by the time we head into the weekend, we're going to be still looking at those low 60s across the area. Take a look at our reflectivity model. We're going to be looking at some possible widespread rain across Tuesday into Wednesday as well. Some scattered showers remaining for the rest of the week ahead of that system moving through. We can see that start to move through across the area around the later parts of Thursday into Friday, and then we should see that clear up quite a bit as we head into the weekend with an isolated threat of some possible showers as well. Now, most of the rain is going to be mostly happening towards the western part of Nebraska. We could be looking around an inch of rain towards the border of Nebraska and into South Dakota, and then we can see that start to drop off as we head towards the east. We could be only talking about 1/10 of an inch, even a little bit less than that as you get closer to the east over to Omaha. But still a good amount of rain, especially for the western part of the state. Same thing here for Kansas. We're going to be looking at the start of today, very similar to the end of this next week, where we'll see those temperatures in the low to upper 70s across the area, getting into the low 80s as we head into midweek. Going to feel a lot like summer across the area. And then as we start heading towards the later part of the weekend, we see that cold front move through, dropping those temperatures ever so slightly heading into the weekend. We're still going to be talking about the low 70s, though, into the area. So not much of a temperature difference. But overnight lows, we could be looking around into the low 40s, especially into the northern part of the state. And then heading into Sunday, we can see the return of those 70-degree temperatures into the area, maybe even some areas getting back up into the low to mid-80s. Now for Kansas, this system is going to be bringing in mostly just scattered showers across the area. Across the week, we could be looking at some possible widespread rain into the western part of the state, starting to fade out towards midweek. Some scattered showers still lingering into the area into late week. We can start seeing that line start to form, but mostly the rain will probably be more towards the eastern part of the state, especially probably a little bit more south of Kansas City, and then that will continue to move out of the area into the weekend where it will start drying back up. Now, compared to the rest of the area, we could be looking at some areas possibly getting close to an inch of rain, but for the most part, most areas are going to be seeing all the way from 0.05 inches all the way up to around 1/2 inch in certain parts, especially as you head more out towards the west. We could be looking around Scott City or getting close to around 1/2 inch. Goodland as well, almost 1/2 inch out there. Now for Michigan, we're going to be looking at those temperatures still in the lower 70s over these next couple days, especially right ahead of that cold front moving through. Temperatures starting to dip down into the low 40s by the time we get for at least overnight lows into Thursday. But right before that system moves through, we're actually be looking at those temperatures climbing right back up into the low 70s. And then as we head into the weekend, we can see that steep drop off where we can start seeing highs on Sunday into the high 50s, and then certain areas on Monday having a hard time even breaking out of the 40s. So definitely be looking at some colder temperatures across the area there. Heading in today, we could be looking at some possible scattered showers, especially into the upper peninsula. Then as we head into midweek, we could see a nice band of rain that comes through across the western portion of the upper peninsula, heading down into the main part of Michigan, into central Michigan as well. Starting to fade out, some scattered showers left in the area. And then ahead of this system, we're going to be looking at that some possible rainfall, especially across the upper peninsula, and then starting to make its way down into the main part of Michigan, with that cold front starting to move through around Saturday or so, bringing in some widespread rain, especially for the eastern part of the state. And then it starts to fade out by Sunday into Monday, but we could still be looking at some scattered showers into the later part of Sunday into Monday as well. So just something to be looking out for there. Now, it's going to be mostly even across the area in terms of how much precipitation we're going to be looking at. We could be looking at getting close to an inch over near the western part of the upper peninsula. And then as it starts starting to fade just a little bit, we're looking around 1/2 inch over near Newberry. Then heading down to the main part of Michigan, we could be looking at Lansing, a little bit more than 1/2 inch. Flint, same there, where other parts are going to be looking more closer to 1/4 of an inch. Thanks so much for tuning here into Midwest Weather Network. If you like the video, make sure to hit that like button. Also subscribe for more of regional forecasts for the Midwest area as well. God bless. See you guys next week.